I've been chilling, watching the ocean with you. Baby up with a slow motion crew. And we up in our growlings when people change, but not us. And we just chilling, kicking it, kissed by the sun. Could be soaked to the skin in the mall soon. I know she got the good vibes when seasons change, but we're the same. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding. Even if my jokes aren't funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding.
Spruced up for a fantastic Thursday. Welcome back, one and all, to the channel for another round and out of an edition of Midweek Muster. That is right, we are ready to kick off with the final day of week number 16, which will lead into a week's break while we're off in Germany, living it up big online for Age of Empires 2 and 4. That's right, it's going to be a fun time. It's going to be a great month. And we kick off in a great way. It's going to be a fun, stacked Thursday here. We are opening up with Wham versus Vortex, and then the winner of that will be going up against Beastie Cutie, reigning champion here in the Midweek Musters. It's going to be a crazy one, actually. I think a lot of people maybe were thinking, oh yeah, it's just going to be a Wham going out in semis, Vortex versus Beastie rematch. I wouldn't write the lad off, man. I think like Wham's looked a lot more solid this week maybe than previous, so definitely don't mark him off just yet. The practice has been coming in real. Of course, we can see how we got here. Anatan does get annihilated in the semis against Beastie yesterday. We went live. If you didn't catch that, it is in the VODs. It will be on the YouTube side, and it will, at least one of those games, I believe, is going to end up featuring on the YouTube channel as an edited down upload. So plenty there. That was, of course, the draft from that series. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to reset because we, of course, are going to be opening with Vortex versus Wham, which I believe they are underway with the draft right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to open the browser of our sponsor for the month, Opera GX, to check in on how things are progressing between the two. Remember, guys, you want to be checking out this browser yourself. Top notch. I've been enjoying it. I'm using it more and more every single day. So really cool things in there. Like the big sell points, I think, is like a lot of the ad blockers are starting to fail on like the Chrome whatever side. These guys, they have a built-in ad blocker that's reliable. And we already have the map picks. So it looks like we are going to be seeing, obviously, Lipany as our beginner, always. But we're going to be getting Prairie. No surprise that aggressive player would choose an open map like that. And Anatolian Hills as well, man. Remember, Vortex, he had that sick win against BC. It was the opening game of the last finals. If you haven't seen it, I recommend going and watching it. Crazy, crazy strategy. Very unique take. And one that brought Mongols into that new map for the very first time. And what is up, Huffy Tuffy? I see you. Second month in a row. Love that. It's all about consistency. Setting a pattern of expectation. So now, you got to expect yourself to turn up every single month to make sure you keep renewing those subs. Appreciate you, though. All right. Draft is underway. Other side, Wham. He did go for Dry Arabia Coastal Cliffs. Holy Island Golden Heights. No surprise on these ban-outs. Vortex is renowned for his water play still to this day. Golden Heights on the other side. Wham, very creative there. If you guys remember, he got that sick win over Beastie in the Red Bull Waterloo qualifiers on that particular map. And I think that kind of brandished it as a Wham-oriented map in my eyes, at least. So getting the draft, we are going to be split seeing the Juji and HRE. Roos will not make it through, but HRE always a solid one. I think with this type of map pool as well, they have a lot of robustness to how they can be picked. You know, with HRE, you can slot them on Prairie. Anatolian Hills, we haven't really seen yet, and I don't think we will. It just kind of gets weird with the Archon. We see Order of the Dragon more frequently because so many other maps make sense for HRE. Lipany can work. Dry Arabia is fantastic. Coastal Cliffs, very good as well. For Juji, kind of similar there. Anatolian Hills would be surprising. I haven't really rated the Juji pick on that map. I think it suffers even more than China, per se. But you know, overall, you're seeing these opening picks just have a lot of robustness to them. They can pretty much function anywhere. And there's the double front save follow-up from Vortex. Yeah, you can tell that Beastie and him scrim together relentlessly, right? Like, it's very much reminiscent of that concept. And I don't think I'm too surprised by this, right? Jean has just ranked up the echelons quite a bit. And also, with Anatolian Hills being in the rotation for this draft, makes a lot of sense. Jean has looked really good there. In some ways better than French because of how much easier it is to find exploitable areas to snipe with Jean in. Can backfire, we've seen that occasionally as well, but that was for different reasons. I think if you play like a standard game out into the mainland of Anatolian, because remember you have the starting island and then the river separates the main. When you go into the main, like Jean has a lot of opportunities to farm XP there in a more easy manner than you would see on other maps, because it's much harder to remain defensive due to the necessity to come out for resources. So follow-ups here, Vortex just going for one of his signature picks in the Mongols. Delhi Malians, overall, like, I don't think anyone lost the draft here, and I like that. That's music to my ears. That's what you want to see. If I had to lean somewhere where there's a slight edge, I think with the draft rotation, I mean, like, getting French Sean in the current meta feels very, very powerful. You just have a lot of robustness. The Ibid pick follow-up is quite interesting here. It used to be IU was actually quite good into HRE. And by quite good, I mean, like, when HRE is most dominant, you could be looking at, like, a 50-50 matchup, maybe 55 HRE. I think with the new Pro Scouts meta, it's a little bit harder for IBIDs to justify themselves in that matchup. But there might be some kind of fringe strategies, especially around Dervish play early on, because when you go Pro Scouts, you're slowing down your other timings, right? The only awkward thing I see is, like, HRE with Pro Scouts will open racks, and then you can't go Desert Raiders. It's horrible. Even if you got Dervish Heal, you're just going to get eventually ran down. And then rounding out, we have got the Order of the Dragon, which of course was the final ban. Vortex, of course, with the Chinese. So, full picture now. I think I'd give Vortex a slight edge here. I think the Mongols are a nice variant pick against one or two of these civs. Iabid's more situational. I don't see the full picture, but we've got Abra on the other side anyway. If there is one person who can justify the Abba pick at the moment, I feel like it's Wham. He's had some very creative builds in the midweek musters with that civ. And what is up, Veteran Wolf? A smart choice there. Re-upping on the Prime. Remember, guys, you've got Prime subs. Don't worry about ads. You don't have to actually worry about spending more money because you got Prime sub. You've already paid for it because you got your Amazon Prime. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Make sure you're linking your Amazon account to your Twitch account so you can get a free sub. And there we go. Wait. Oh, sorry, I'm blind. He actually did ban Chinese. I just looked in the wrong place. Okay, so Japan to round out. No Holy Island, though. All right, like, you know what? I'm glad of that. I said Vortex is going to have an edge because I'm blind, clearly, and I thought he had Chinese. Because it got double banned, not as much of a clear apparent lead for Vortex. I still give him like a 55-45 on the draft, but I don't feel like this was like dominated by one person per se. Glasses sponsor when? I mean, we do get sent some gifts from Gunners, but we don't have anyone who's forking money out to support the channel right now on Glasses. I think it's a bit challenging to kind of get those sponsors, but as we scale, I'd love to. There's plenty of Glasses brands, and I like to be quite creative in my Glasses choices, hence why I have a few different ones that I wear. But draft done. Opening map's going to be Lipany. I have to be thinking we're looking at... What? Do you open with Juji? I mean, Juji can answer most things on Wham's side. Oh, he does. Yeah, we've got Juji versus Delhi. Okay, interesting. So Wham kind of expected the Delhi pick here. Juji can be pretty vicious here due to how quickly they can get into Pro Scouts. And you can try to block them with the Ghazi, but they can spam out additional horsemen in the opening with supervision to maintain contest. Or if the spawn's good enough, go Spearman. Overall, like, I quite like this for Juji. It's not that Delhi can't win. I just think if you statistically look at it, Juji have been favored more often than not in this matchup in the last 3 or 4 months. So let's open the game. We'll get ready to hop in for the first of the set. I just realized I already have 25 hours on Monster Hunter. That might not sound like a lot, but when you consider how much like work I have to do, the streams and everything, like compared to people who just actually stream the game, that's quite a lot of hours, right? Right? That's not bad. I've been enjoying it. I don't know what's going to be happening with the late game content. I think I'm getting close to it, and I'm like, is there actually that much? We'll find out. I remember that was the cool thing about Monster Hunter Worlds. It's like Monster Hunter Worlds, I felt like there was just so much to do and still so much to unlock. So I don't know. Hopefully Wilds does have that. What's your main weapon? I stuck to the Insect Glaive. I was like, I'm going to ride it out and see if it's worth it. Honestly, I think Insect Glaive is a little bit... I play it well. But no, I think Insect Glaive just has some like issues around its variability of play and its uniqueness. The thing that annoys me is when you've got like certain weapons that just don't have a unique role. And what I mean by that, a unique counter attack. So like offsets or guards. You have an offset with the glaive, but the offset is like weird compared to a lot of classes. Because like imagine all these other classes, they'd press the counter button. Like imagine playing Dark Souls, right? That's more comparative for a lot of people right now. Dark Souls or Elden Ring or whatever, and you go to counterattack, and you press the button, and you counterattack straight away. Well, the weird thing actually about using the Insect Glaive is, imagine if you played Dark Souls and you had to counterattack like a second or two before the attack. Sounds pretty sucky, right? So I don't know. I hope they actually iterate it a little bit further. It is one of the few classes that makes sense for mouse and keyboard, and I think that's now where I unlocked it. Why is there a delay? Let me check him. Oh, and I've been visited by a certain Ezra. He'll be joining us for game number 1. One sec. Vortex is streaming and he went for the delay. But yeah, no, he didn't. So we're telling him now. Like, it's gonna have to be a remake. I mean, as far as I can see, because he's already in game. And his stream is like 2 minutes in. He literally, either him or Wham messed up, because there shouldn't be a stream delay on this. So it should be a remake. Like, it's pretty clear on the rules. It was Wham? Okay. Yeah, like, I don't know. We're gonna get it sorted though. Because it's just like, I mean, it screws with multiple things, right? Like, for start, some people are just going to be like, hey, I want to watch, like, whatever's the, like, most live thing. The other thing is just legitimately, we can't do Gamba because people can literally just go look 5 minutes ahead. And it's very indicative of the outcome, right? Or can be. Like, there's multiple elements to this that's really stupid. But this is like, it's an issue on both people, right? Like, honestly, when you're in these lobbies, you both need to look at the timer. We're going to fix it for the next maps. Apparently, we're going to suck it up for the first one. I'm not happy, though. Like, we're 16 weeks in. It's not the first rodeo for either. I'm kind of like more forgiving when it's like your first time like doing this that you don't know. But where's my bleeper when I need to say how I really feel about it? Yeah. If no one's streaming, it's 5-minute delay. That's the rule. But like, the rule has been for half of Midweek Muster's existence now that if someone is streaming, the delay is whatever the delay is. The one exception being the finals, where you like have to have the 5-minute delay. Take a deep breath. It'll be okay. I mean, like, I think I'm right. I'm allowed to be a little bit frustrated by it, considering, like, once again, it's not. I know it's annoyingly maybe it's annoyingly choreful to have to do it like every time, to remember to do it. But like, at this point, you know, I could understand us getting annoyed in the first year of Age of Empires 4 that it wasn't a default setting or whatever else. But like, the game's been out multiple years now, dude. Like, we are professionals. We know how to do these things. I think my bigger annoyance is, like, to this day that there's no way, I talked about this on another stream, there's no way to be sitting in the lobby, right? Which would mean that Chum would be there right now. And he'd say, hey, there's, like, one of you screwed up. There isn't a delay. There isn't meant to be a delay, you know? But yeah, we will have that fixed for the next game. Just means we might have to fast forward a minute or two on the second game. What's my opinion on the AOM DLC? I haven't played it yet, so I can't give an opinion on it. I've been quite busy. I haven't really had time for it. All right. Sorry about that, guys, but we are underway. It means no predictions for game number 1. Sorry, but obvious reasons, right? One and all, it's time for the aggressor versus the defender. That's right, Wham's Walls up against Vortix's Bullhorns. We're going to have fun with this. Lipany to open this series for Midweek Muster number 16. The first time, I want to say we've seen Juji and Delhi in like 2 weeks plus? No, we don't really get this matchup as often. Juji is a prior ban, and Delhi just don't necessarily budge into them the rarity that they do come through. But Vortex opens this series with his strongest pick. Wham pretty much goes for the strongest pick for Lipany. I think Delhi just makes a lot of sense here. Byzantine's also can feel quite good. But, you know, if you're looking outside of the obvious OP picks, like, you know, go for HRE, you go for Juji, Chinese, etc., you know, Delhi and Byzantines, I think, are the two that kind of make sense for Lipany in a lot of ways. The berry bush amounts, and in particular for Delhi, the sacred sites, which in this game, I actually kind of like this for Wham. 2 of them more northward bound, the other one on the flank. Looking at the deer spawns, that's going to be very interesting as well. Wham got a double retracted here, both on the same side of the map. Meanwhile, for Vortexes, they're spread wide, west and east. And both forward. I mean, the good news for him is he can still play into them very quickly. Considering it's his side of the map, Delhi are going to have to go Ghazi opening, and that's not going to allow him to immediately like jump on top of this and punish him, right? Like, it's going to whittle away at his opponent a little bit, but it's not going to kill him. But this should be interesting. I think last time I saw this matchup, I want to say Juji just looked favored because of their fast castle transitional timing. It's very hard for Delhi to compete, but if there was a map, it would be the one with sacred sites like this. We're casting this despite it being remade? No, this is not being remade. So basically to like tune everyone in, whether they're watching later or not, one of the players, I'm not sure which one it was, forgot to put the delay on the lobby to 0 because Vortex is streaming his player perspective. So that'll be fixed for all additional games. So the way we do this is like anything but grand finals. The way the stream delay works is if one player says, I'm going to stream with 2-minute delay or 0-minute delay, then you are required to make sure that the lobby delay is always set to that. If no one's streaming, it's 5-minute delay. And then on the grand finals, I don't care if you're streaming or not, you're going to have a 5-minute delay, and there'll have to be a 5-minute delay on the lobby. That's for integrity's sakes. You know, I like to believe that Vortex, Wham, Beastie, everyone else is not going to cheat. But, you know, to be a developer brain about it, you know, I can believe that the people who would buy my game wouldn't try to use like a wall hack to see where people are. But does it not make more sense to just not give them additional info on people that they don't need when they're in the game? What I'm talking in relation there to is like if you know what the classic statement is for like a net coder, this classic statement is never trust the client. Right, so it's the same logic there. Yes, I think no one in the comp scene is likely to cheat. But if we, for example, you know, a year from now, there was one person who'd been doing it and winning and winning and winning, imagine the blowout from that, right? It's just not worth the integrity hit, which is why we have the stream delay. So, tech up's complete. Dome of Faith's going to come in the other side. Looking at other elements to spawn, I also like that Wham got this spread of berries on east and west instead of them all one-way leaning. It means that he's going to have options when he tries to play out. Could be important here because sometimes usually do like to open with a handful of horsemen, especially when they're looking to be aggressive. And what is up, always cursing? Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate it. Hasn't even begun to peak, the best times ahead of us. We can only hope, my friend. Fingers crossed. We got, what, 2 DLCs this year? Should be a hype one. And you're going to see the difference in these timers, by the way. Pro Scouts already on the way in 15 seconds. Looks like he did... Oh, wow. He actually got the double gold and the berries. Like, Meditation Garden spawn. This is pretty good. Wham has got the info. What Wham could actually do is hang around with the scout if he wanted to. But he's still got some map to finish off, so we'll look for remaining sheep. But honestly, I'm a big fan of him not leaving straight away, necessarily. Logic being, as your opponent, he's going to have to rush into scouts. You can run away from them quick enough. And as your own food source, you've still got berries. So as long as you've got berries, you don't need to panic about sheep coming home. Especially when even if he did run out of berries, Wham already has 18 here. What do you guys think? Because we can have predictions on this one. Let me know in chat. 1s if you favor Wham here. 2s if you favor Vortex. You already have Wham going for a little bit of pokes. It has scouted that there's an intent from Vortex to go west side. Interesting, actually. Like, 4 scouts, sometimes we see Juji go up to 6, but I think that's because we're likely to see a Rax transition here. And yo, what is up, Aaron Paul? I see you there. Thank you very much for the £10 gifted. Thank you, mate. Appreciate the tip. Appreciate all the support. Makes these type of tournaments and doing them frequently possible. I mean, it's crazy to think we've still got regular editions of midweek musters from now all the way through until June. And then who knows what's next. If things keep growing, I think maybe we go bigger and better next time. Wow, look at this. He's already prepping his own scouts. That's interesting. Is this to deny the scout player Vortex? Because obviously you get the bonus damage against them. And then it preps him for his own pro scout timing. So like he could bring his scouts over, attack the enemy scouts, and then pick up the deer when this completes. It's a cool concept, but the only issue I see is like your opponent is going to have Ghazi versus Spears, right? So like with you going scouts and Ghazi, you're pretty much just guaranteeing Vortex can kill your Spears. So I imagine Wham is considering an archery range here. Yeah, there we go. So this is Wham trying to basically bait Vortex into over-bloating Spears. It's actually not a bad idea, especially considering that it's going to force Vortex to stay in the age longer, and it buys more time for Sanctity to kick in. So Wham can then just get additional resources of his own. And Vortex apparently knows what's coming, has already started prepping Horsemen. And not just that, remember, we're talking about the Zhu Ji. So, before Pro Scouts, this matchup felt pretty good for Zhu Ji, and the reason was similar to why China felt pretty good. China was a little bit more obvious. The Barbican drop on the secret site denied a win condition. But what the Zhu Ji had going for them was the idea of Zhugenu massing. Get enough of those bad boys going, and you can just wipe the floor with the Delhi comps, especially since Tower Victory isn't really on the menu anymore. See, when you played China versus Delhi, you know, before Pro Scouts, well, Delhi would have to consider Tower Victory, because without that attack speed, you couldn't clear the Zhu Ji spears quick enough to actually win the fight. So, similar for that dynamic here, just the difference with Zhu Ji is they will get into the Zhugenu a lot quicker than China will. Wow, actually he's going to be moving out into the deer early, which is interesting considering we're only 35 seconds away from Pro Scouts tech complete. Does feel a little bit greedy, especially now that he sees that Vortex has at least added in 1 horseman, for all he knows it could be a lot more than that. Instead, Vortex, you can see what his true intent is here. He's switching full infantry comp. North America better than EU? What tournaments have you been watching? I know this is dangerous to say with 20% of my audience being NA, but statistically speaking, Europe is definitely better than NA in AoE 4. And this comes from someone who is cheering the idea of a diversification of the titles, right? Like, I want a scene where, you know, one time Beastie takes it, next time Wham takes it, next time Louis takes it. That's what I want. I actually want to have a king from each region, preferably 2 to 3. But there's no denying that right now, you know, when you look at the top players, it's going to be Beastie, Marine Lord, Vortex, and Ascent. All EU. KPMM victories? Well, if we tally the KPMM victories, it's Puppy Paw with the most. Wham has 1 to his name. But Puppy Paw, the interesting thing actually is Anatan matched Puppy Paw's win streak. In fact, Beastie, if he wins this week, that'll set him up to come back and then break the consecutive run. Because the consecutive run, I believe, is 4. Vortex, we'd have that Steel Arrow coming in. Hold on a second. Wham! What? Okay, he has got House of Learning coming, but there is an issue here. There's no undermesh. So Steel Arrow are a very big deal here for Vortex to win the initial fight for a dive. This is a timing attack. Vortex is swinging everything behind this. The free Sacred Site cap has accelerated Wham, and he has got safe resources on the wide flank, so should have the food necessary to start getting into mid-arm straight away. Doesn't have the Raxes, though. I mean, there's nothing else you want to build here that's valuable, right? He's trying to prep archers, but archers without undermesh into Zhug. The Zhug is still going to trade well. interception strategy here, but not looking too good. He does at least reveal the core info of the Steeled Arrow. Has prioritized the Undermesh now himself, but still a minute and 20 out. Vortex. Looks like he slowed down on the Sacred Site to try and buy time for more troops. But he needs to go. Another Sacred Site decap, so less gold for Wham to work with here. He's actively gathering on the east side. Tech up now complete. And now it's time to see that fabled Vortex aggression. Actually marches straight for the gold. Interesting. Final Sacred Site is being decapped, so can make sense. Relics are yet to be pulled home here. It's going to be not on the gold. Torches are already out. Zhu going for the trade. Veterancy for Archers is still 2 minutes away here. And he pulls the Scholars. Interesting. With this many repeated crossbows, you shouldn't be able to save anyone's life. No, you're seeing they're just getting melted way too quickly here. Spearmen are still alive. So you need to be a little bit careful. Skull's now frontlining. I love that. Wham intentionally brings them forward to try and draw aggro onto the 130 HP unit. It doesn't work, though. Vortex's micro is on point. The outpost is adding in a lot of damage, but the Spearmen should now be able to burn it down. Wham now looks to go into Lancers, but there's still a handful of spears here. Villagers are going to make a run for it. Wham able to actually get away because he had the textiles afterwards. Still does lose 2 villagers. Vortex, well, seems to be just dabbing his face like he just ate a meal. Having a good moment there, you know, it's like, delectable. Now it's time for my castle play. So he's going to be following up on a delay. But Wham didn't get much here, guys. He has 1 relic on the way home. Vortex done a great job of denying the west side. And even this south side, it's debatable whether it will make it home. Yeah, and behind this Shaolin Monastery coming. So Vortex, you know, some people probably look at this and go, he didn't get enough. He got 2 worker kills. That's terrible, right? I'm not convinced. Look at Wham's gold. He's putting everything into just a handful of Lancers and Scholars. He hasn't got any active gold gathering. There's still several spears left here, so the initial Lancer is going to struggle to beat this easily. And now, your opponent is going to be able to follow up with more Lancers because of the Pro Scouts. Okay. Veterancy on the Juke. Because of the Undermesh, it's going to take too long here. Almost 3 minutes wait. Along the flank, but the Scholar did get discovered, so actually, hold on. You cheeky git, Wham. Heavily delayed getting on the west. He's going to get denied on this one, but he at least finds the second relic. Okay, so still 3 up for grabs. Vortex hasn't got one on the way home yet. No, and look at where the fort is. It's very close to Wham's base. I tell you, dude, the tankiness of these Scholars is on another level. Has got the army over here. Veterancy did just come in for the Juke. Interesting. Wow. Okay. So Vortex, he's going to keep blobbing infantry. And the funny thing is, Wham started to scale more archers after the veterancy complete. That's kind of problematic here. I'm a little bit surprised because I think Wham did just see Vortex's Juke new upgrade. But going into archers feels like a losing play there, right? You want to have more heavily armored units. Men-at-arms could make a lot of sense, but for Wham, the paranoia comes from the fact that he needs efficient defenders. He needs to minimize his melee and maximize his range in his base. What worries me is what's coming next. Vortex already starting to vomit out the Lancers. Has no gold? No, he has access to gold again. Remember, the moment the Vortex moved all the way over here, he could re-attain it. But Wham, he basically wants to get the blob that could defend him safely in his checkpoints, right? Because if you go mass melee against mass melee, your opponent's already militarily ahead. He should have more push coming. It's much nicer to just be able to kite in your base with archers here. And also, I think he wants to clear the way of the spears to get Lancer play. With home blades, it can make a lot of sense. So when you tally the wins, you got some juicy results. Asia and Russia together have 5. EU has 5. NA has 5. Interesting. So you say the lead is on the line here, but if Wham doesn't win this series, then it's obvious the outcome, right? Because that would mean Grand Finals Beastie versus Vortex. That is interesting. We did have to pile together Asia and Russia. And also, by the way, when you say Asia, Russia, you can just say Russia, China, right? Beastie in the chat. NA and Asia got wins because EU let them. Whoa. Actually, that's not true because the KP All-Stars, the finals was B versus Louis. So technically, no, I guess like do you put Russia in Europe or do you put them in Asia? Complications, man. I'm not sure where B is, how far inland he is. Flash coming in though, and this looks like a scary one actually. A lot of Lancers to front line from both players. Wham with an edge here with the home blades, and look at that Wham. He baits him into the aggro. He's trying to clear the way of the spears. Most of them have been removed. Wham still does have 7 Lancers to defend here. So it looks like it should be a firm hold. So you have to back up a little bit. Numbers honestly starting to favor him when you consider that he already has so many scholars and the fact that he's actually maintaining a lead here. It's a bloody good fight out of Wham. Yeah, big difference there is the home blades, but also the micro just targeting in. Vortex basically just overextends into a melee line with his range units, which means that Wham can focus on basically trading his archers out against the spears, and then his lancers can kill everything else. Behind this, we do at least have relics coming home, so it looks like it's going to be a final tally of 3-2 in favor of Vortex. And behind this, we now have the granaries on the way. The horses in the stable's not being animated always annoyed you? Okay, so funny thing, they were actually meant to be animated. So it's actually a design choice for them to not be animated. Because like, look at it, it doesn't make sense. Why is it here like this? But if you think about it, the problem you have with these type of little interactions is clarity. In an RTS, it's important that you see and understand things. So like, if this horse went around in circles, and let's say there were archers shooting from underneath the canopies, that creates a lot of visual pollution, and it's confusing when you're watching it. Right? Like, dude, imagine all these circling around, like, and you're looking, trying to figure out how big the enemy army is. It's like way too distracting. Okay, I'm gonna give you the other possibility though. We may have given him quite a few sedatives. Actually, what if this horse is dead and it's just been stuffed? Was it taxidermy? Is that the term? Well, these horses move. Lancers. So there's an approach into the base. Not able to find easy targets. The villagers should be able to protect any units. In fact, guys, I can make the horses move. You ready? You ready? Whee! Look at them go. They go around in a circle. Yeah, okay. The optical illusion kind of failed me there. I was more hopeful. So, what's Wham's goal now? Is this just Fast Imperial? I feel like we're looking at Fast Imperial here. They should move while training is in progress. So I talked to the devs about that, and they did kind of stroke their chin. As I said, everything should actually activate as it's being used. So like, Blacksmith, for example, sometimes this starts to ignite, and sometimes it doesn't. You'd think when it ignites, it's because it's researching something. It's not. It's just bugged. But like, I think that would be a very good change, so that you get extra info from looking at your opponent's base. It's like, these moving, like you just highlight, means that training. The furnace going means that Blacksmiths is working. I don't know, we'll come up with some of the fireworks coming out the Dome of Faith to let you know that they are producing. Or like in the mosque, you could just have someone worshipping inside the building, right? I think it'd be a cool addition. Villagers, nice on the wall there, Vortex. Only a handful of Lancers. Behind this, we do have Wham sticking to the plan. So Imperial just around the corner. He also has the Sacred Sites. Is this the Vortex and Beastie rubbing off on each other part? I feel like usually, like, old Vortex a year ago would have taken the clash into the base, walked away, came back 2 minutes later with a bigger army. Whereas Vortex is now just being more calculated about this, right? He's kind of game planning out in his mind the later phase of the game. It's smart here. It makes a lot of sense. This is dangerous the way that Wham is approaching this by going for the Fast Imperial. But the logic is that Wham will be a little bit limited food-wise in the late game, while you're going to be nicely consolidated to just vomit out infinite troops. Crossbow count is getting pretty big for Vortex, but there's only a handful of lances, right? Like, I wonder if Vortex is suspecting War Elephant's follow-up. Because if this is the Imperial play, the crossbows are going to be irrelevant, as are the Zhuganu against the Tower Elephants. Another awkward thing is going to be the Pake's detail, so now you just get outranged. Kind of feels like Vortex's problem here is he just doesn't see what he's up against, right? He can take reasonable guesses or react to the info he's given, but he's going to get a big bit of info in a moment here. Palace of the Sultan is now on the way. The walls are mostly up, but Vortex's economy really isn't at this stage. 1,000 a minute is going to slow him down on his own tech speed. He's still massing more lances, so the question now is whether he can get to a position where he can dive into the enemy base when the tech completes. Difficult with mass crossbow mashing. It's not a fast-moving comp. And on top of that, Wham's walls, baby! They've come into effect. Yeah, so has insulated himself nicely. Now what does Vortex do with this info? There's no attack to be had here, surely. He's going to try. I mean, he does have the military lead. Right? It's actually 50 military versus 64. Difficulty is getting in there quick enough. You know how Delhi are at this point in the game. Elite Tech's just a minute and a half away. Yeah, this right here is 3,000 resources queued up that he'll get for free in terms of tech. Just has to buy a bit of time. And I gotta say, with a keep like that, it would have been great if it wasn't for that teensy-wincy divot. Able to walk past. Vortex still approaching the base here, but not much burn power to get through these walls. Only 10 lances. And I think that's going to be close to enough time. What? We'll probably see him by 30 seconds with the wall here. More if he just keeps attacking the houses. Yeah, houses that, by the way, they have got the extra HP from the House of Learning deck. Alright, hear me out. Oh my god, Zhuganu scary. What if we just all garrison the 1,000 HP houses that let us shoot? It's an interesting thought. Elite Tech still 45 out here. I don't really see how Vortex is meant to crack it with this. He's putting everything into this push. He's got nothing in reserve. There's no tech speed coming in behind, right? There's no Imperial. This is it. One concern is going to be the food, but he's resolving that. He's moving out to the flank safely. Well, the dive does come in. Flash underway. Elite Tech. Hold on. Wait, he pulled the Scholars. He pulled them for the heal. He's not going to get the Elite Tech. Is this going to be enough? He prioritized the Scholar heals instead, and the answer is most definitely yes. Are you kidding me? He skips out on Elite in favor of heal and shows you exactly how valuable it can be. Game 1 to the Canadian. Dude, that was actually a sick reaction. Especially when it was so close. You're like 28 seconds away from Elite Tech. You have to be like, yeah, no, yeah, we definitely just we just get the tech, right? Full commitment. All right, so we need to rush hop into game 2 because I think they're a minute and a half in. We can do predictions for this one because they had the delay by accident on G1. Oh my god, I almost wrote Vortex. Whoops. Anyway, let's get predictions up. G2. We'll hop in here. We'll give a point across to the aggressive, to the Wham, rather, not the aggressive, the defensive Wham. Oh, let's get ready to catch up. I like the North America followed up by he's Canadian. It's like, yes, that is the continent and the country. All right. One and all, we've got a very surprising start to the series. Wham now